Well, hello there, lovelies. It's Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely, where we carry the largest selection of wood flowers in the United States. And we're back with another tutorial where we're going to do a deep dive. And this time we're going to deep dive on two different style flowers with two different types of dyeing techniques. But one of them's not technically dyeing, it's brushing? I don't know what we'll call this, but anyway, let's jump into it. Now, if you did not know, we do have some flowers that have special little features, and one of those special little features, the air conditioner is going to go on. Let's turn that off. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, we're going to do this real fast because I'll go get hot in this studio. But some of our flowers have these really fun thistles. They're dry thistles that are in the center of the flowers. So we're gonna work with these two different styles. This right here is Papaver. It is a peony not a peony, a poppy of sorts. It has this beautiful, really cool thistle center. We have this in two different sizes. We have it in 2.5 and 3 inches. Now I know this 2.5 probably you're like, that looks really small for a 2.5. It's because it's when it opens up this way. Each one is a little bit different as far as how we measure the size of the flower. So this one is based off of how it is across, because right here, this is also a 2.5, and here is a 3-inch for the Gerbers. Now the one thing I wanted to show you too, in this batch that I got, sometimes because the thistles are a dried natural material, sometimes the color is not going to be the same. It just depends on how it dried. So sometimes you're gonna get some tan thistles and sometimes you get those really deep, rich, brown, almost black thistles. I'm also going to, at the end of this tutorial, give you a little tip and trick on how to stem these Gerbers in particular. These are a little bit tricky because on the back, as you can see, they're like a saucer, which most of our flowers have some sort of like little tail or little nub or little base for you to be able to put your wire through. The Gerbers don't have that, so I have a little trick for you. I'll show you at the end. But first, what we're going to do, and a reminder, this is the color story we're working on. We pulled this on the previous video, I believe, working with the Duchess Peony. This time around, however, I'm going to use some of the paint that we had from the last round. Truth time, I did not film all of these right in order. There was some things that happened in my life and I was not able to film for a little while. I'm back now, we're happy and healthy, but the paint has been sitting a little while. So the first question we get asked a lot about craft acrylic paint or latex paint, if you're using that in a watered down, is how long does the paint last? Well, we're gonna find out, because if it smells funky, it's done. But what we're gonna do, instead of doing a lot of dip dyeing like we normally do, I am going to do that fun little technique, and we've done this one other time. I'm just gonna go straight into the paint without mixing it at all. And we're gonna see if we get like a transition of color. The purple in particular, I think will be very interesting because there was multiple colors in there in order to make the purple that I have. But yeah, I do have them sealed up. That's the one thing. I do put a lid on them, but we'll have to see. I don't want to disturb them too much because I want to make sure that we keep that kind of separation. And the purple in particular, I didn't have a cover for it on the original container, so I put it in a container with a top, and now we'll see if I can get it out. So there we go. We're going to first dip dye these real quick, and then I will introduce the other way that we're going to dye these. I guess I would say color them instead of dyeing, because we're not actually using any kind of wet material on that one. So hopefully that has you intrigued. Let's get into it and we'll get our hands dirty first. Okay, let's see how this goes. I am gonna have egg carton. I think I'm gonna put that egg carton over here. There's our little handy dandy. There's our colors. Move this over just a little bit. I'm gonna start with the larger Papavers. Oh yeah, here, this one's also got a little bit of a, I don't know if you can see that difference. This is a little bit lighter than this one. We're gonna do these first. I'm gonna do, debating. We'll do one of each size in this way. We'll see what happens. I'm a little nervous, but here goes nothing. So I have not mixed these at all. They smell okay, so I think we're good. Normally, if the paint has gone bad, you will be able to smell it, let me tell you. It just has a weird smell and you're like, something ain't right with that. Okay, we're gonna try to keep this separated. That pink might be fun. Okay, here goes nothing. So the purple first, and we're just gonna saturate it and go down to the bottom to try to touch it and shake off the excess. Oh, that turned out pretty cool. So it's a lot lighter, and then it's got a darker, that dark blue just on the edges of the flower. Okay, that's cool. So now we're gonna let those dry. See how they dry? Yeah, same thing. I'm gonna open this one up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Or a lot. Ooh! Get that excess out there. Squish my finger around a little bit. Okay. Oh, so pretty. All right, purple is done. It's most of the dyeing we're gonna do. Oh, well, hold on. Purple not done. Let's grab our Gerbers. So for this, I'm going to spin it on its side. I'm gonna just go in and still trying to, the same thing. Now we've kind of started moving the paint around as we're grabbing stuff, but kind of still similar. We've got a little bit of that darker blue is catching on the edges of the petals. I'm gonna just kind of smush it a little bit with my fingers. Okay. So it does give like a little bit of a rim of different color. I'll just do one of those. Okay. Let me, does she have anything to clean off her hands? No, of course not. Why would she? We're gonna use paper. Crinkle, crinkle, sorry for the noise. Okay. All right, purple done. Onto the blue, which was this like very turquoisey. Okay, here goes nothing. Okay. Oh, that's fun. So it's got a lot of the paint sat at the bottom. So I'm just gonna kind of, but then in the center, it kept that light blue kind of coloring. I am going to, though, on the back end, just with my finger, bring some of that paint in. Okay, here's that one. I'll do it again with the littler guy. I'm gonna try to open this one up just a little bit on its own. Oh, look how cute they are opened up. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this one, the turquoise, the paint really kind of grabs onto the thistle more so. And I'm gonna just, again, with my fingers kind of smush that in. I think on camera, it looks like it's very like concentrated, or like there's still a decent amount of blue in the center, but in person, it's pretty cream. It's really cream. All right, let's do the same. I'll just twirl this one around. So my thought is the edges are gonna pick up the paint. Oh, this is kind of fun. We're just gonna keep going around in a circle. There. Whoop. I like that. We're gonna make a little one. I like that a lot. Do one of the smaller ones. Now the thing with the Gerber in particular, the way that it's made, each petal is like individually brought together. So you do want to be a little bit more gentle with these, because if you break off a petal, which it does happen, if you break off a petal, it's going to be a lot more noticeable compared to some of the other style flowers. Okay, that was really fun. That was really fun. All right, clean off our hands a little bit so we don't transfer as much of that blue. Okay, pink time. Ooh. And again, a reminder, the pink was like this bright pink. Okay, here goes nothing. I'm a little nervous about this one. We're gonna push down, get that in there. Okay, so this one I definitely started moving the paint around a little bit more than I would have liked to. Same kind of vibe as the blue one. Very concentrated on the edges, bringing that down. My goodness, she is lovely. Okay, let's see if I can, with this one being a little bit smaller, maybe we can go around. I want to pick up that lighter, less condensed. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Just kind of for wet fingers, but look at that. Oh, that's so pretty. So pretty. And we'll do the same with our Gerbers. So again, we're gonna probably have, so far, having a hard time finding the concentration of the, okay, that one's kind of fun. That one's kind of fun. Okay, let's see how that one dries. Hold on, we're gonna move these just a little bit. Oh no, oh no. The blue one, I got some of the pink on, so we're gonna fix that. And with my fingers, we're gonna give it that two-toned, three-toned, mix and match vibe. Oh, this looks like a firework. Holy cow. Isn't that fun? Oh, wow. Good golly, Miss Molly. I got some playing to do in a second. Okay, so we're gonna try to see if I can find the concentration of the darker pink at the bottom. Yeah, there we go, on the edges. Yeah. Kind of. I think for the center, we're gonna plop it for a second and bring her back up so that that pink kind of goes through a little bit more. And then I'm just going to go around and smooth some of that a little bit. There we go. Well, that was a fun experiment. Okay. We're gonna stop with the dyeing for right now with the craft acrylic paint and the, actually this wasn't craft acrylic paint, this was our paint from, well, some of it, I don't remember. We'll have to look back on the last video. But now we're going to work on a different technique, and I hope you're excited because it doesn't involve any kind of water for the most part at all, but maybe we'll try. Maybe we'll play around a little bit. Okay, meet me right back here. I'm gonna go clean my hands. Okay, so for this next technique that we're going to use in order to color our flowers, we're going to use what is called Holi Powder. The best way to describe it, if you've never heard of it, is it reminds me of like Fun Run. Well, that's what it is, basically. It's that Fun Run powder that a lot of kids now, they'll have those races and they throw a bunch of really high pigmented colored powder that's washable. It's usually made with cornstarch, I believe. And I get the Holi Powder, the stuff that I use is, I find it on Amazon. We'll put a link in the description of the video of the ones that I have used. They do not come in these little containers. I put them in little containers so that they're easier to work with and store, because they normally come in bags that don't usually have any kind of like resealability, and it's powder and it gets everywhere. So yeah, I like to put it in little containers. So it's gonna look like that. The only other thing minimally that you need besides the Holi Powder and your flowers is to have some sort of fluffy brushes or brushes. I like to get fluffy brushes from like the dollar store, the $1.25 store now, or Five Below, because I like really fun, magical looking brushes, because I think you should have fun when you're playing around with art supplies. So I use makeup brushes. You could probably use paint brushes. I feel like the fluffier the brush, the better, but you can argue with me about that in the comments if you are an expert of working with Holi Powder to color your flowers, if you enjoy a very dense, high pacted bristle brush, I'd love to hear that too. The other option, or another optional thing, you can have some spray, just water. Doesn't need glycerin, anything like that, because we're just putting this powder on top of the flower itself. It will, it doesn't soak into the petals, so to speak, but it does adhere to the petals. And the petals are already soft as they're made. So there's no need for glycerin, because glycerin really only helps keep your flowers soft and pliable, especially if you're putting something on top of the flowers that causes them to get a little bit brittle. Paint can do that sometimes, certain paint. Watercolor doesn't do that. Craft acrylic paint, latex paint, things like that. If you use a lot of paint versus less water, it can get brittle. That was a very long-winded explanation that this is just water in this bottle. Okay, so let's go through some of the most basics, and then we might just play and layer things. And I have some new colors I haven't played with before that I think will go with the color story we're building upon, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work. So let's buckle in. I've got to go grab some more flowers. I just realized I don't have them on my table, and we will get to working with all of this fun Holi powder. I'll just set that there for now. Let those dry. These you can set on anything, but I already have the trays available. I also have like a cup for dust off, but it kind of just depends on if you're using little jars, big jars, no jars. So for yeah, we've got some crazy colors in here. I know I said I wasn't gonna do green, but I have an idea, so we are gonna use green. And I'm thinking a combination of these will get us to some sort of variation shade of that turquoisey blue we've got going on. Okay, so first things first, I'm a realist. That ages me so much. I have an idea for, in particular, the green with the papavillas. So I'm going to gently open this up a little bit, because I would like to concentrate the green in around the center of the flower. So I'm popping my in there. I like to dust it off a little bit, but I just dusted all of it off, so I lied. And then I like to just blow off that extra. And then I go in again with another layer, and I just build upon this the whole time. So you don't have the dry time necessarily. Like once these are done, they're good to go. But the building is what takes the time. These are going to give you a subtle kind of shift of color. It almost gives a kind of watercolor feel to it. The other thing I'll mention too, because I know it gets asked, as far as is there transfer of the color or the powder? I have yet to have that happen, but I'm always blowing off the excess. I'm trying not to let anything sit, and I give it like a day or two before I use them. But if you are concerned about the transfer of color, see, it just gives like this softest, subtle kind of feeling. If you're worried about the transfer of color, especially on a wedding day, for example, I would definitely suggest trying it first and figuring out if you feel confident in it or not. It's a personal preference. I, again, haven't had any issues, but that doesn't mean that you won't. So, all right, now with the pink, I'm gonna go in with a much bigger fluffy brush. I'm gonna kind of dab. Another trick, if you're gonna go from color to color and you're using one of these fun fluffy makeup brushes, is I would, as I transferred all of that, you can get a makeup brush cleaner that's a very like, it's basically just what's the best way to describe it? A sponge, kind of like a sponge, but you're scrubbing the brush against it, and it clears off all of the original color that you were working with. So with that, oh, look at it. So when you do that, you can then switch over the color if you have, say, that color kind of in your brush a little bit more. You can layer these colors too on top of each other and mix and match them. Actually, maybe we'll try a blue to see if we can get like a light purple. So this is, I'm gonna blow that off and it takes away a lot of that excess. Again, like I said, it takes some building up to get to the color that you want. But once it's done, it's done. So there's that one. Okay. Now let's show a way to have a little bit more of a condensed color on there. And by doing that, this is where the water bottle comes in. So I'm just going to spritz this down lightly. Don't need a lot. I'm going to use that pink again. And I'm going to work on the outer petals. So I'm just pouncing that on. And what this does with the water is it kind of sticks onto it a little bit more, bleeds in a little bit, and keeps a more condensed, opaque coloring. Dust up some of that color at the bottom to give yourself a gradient. And when I blow on that, barely anything's coming off. It basically just sits on there. Okay, so now let's play a little bit, shall we? I'm gonna try to figure out if we can get to that blue color that we were, and I also got this purple I've never played with. Remember I said it I'm just gonna see what that turns into. Okay. All right, I didn't like that one petal, so I just took that off. Okay, I'm gonna go in first with this blue. I'm going pretty heavy-handed. Most of this is not gonna stay. As soon as I blow, just kind of blow off the excess, quite a bit of that is gonna disappear. The interesting thing about the Gerber in particular, all of these little petals are folded in. So you do have the powder kind of sitting inside those petals. So this one, some of this isn't gonna come out right away. Okay, so that's where we're at so far. I don't know that I'm gonna use that lighter blue, but maybe. Once we get this green on top, we'll see what happens. It's more like not an emerald green, I would say, but it adds that little bit of green to that turquoise that we're looking for. Well, let's grab a little. Like I said, we're just gonna, this you don't have to worry about necessarily oversaturating. Now when it comes to working with water and the dyes, you can oversaturate the flower and it will start to affect the strings that are holding everything together. They get super, super wet. And then the next thing you know, you are having a flower come loose. So you want to stay away from that. Okay. Let's see what happens. All right, so ever so slightly. That's cute. I think that's gonna be close to the coloring that we want. Okay, so let's do that again, but this time we're gonna spray it down. I'm bringing it over off camera, just because I've got stuff on my hands now, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is going to sit and be kind of saturated, so we're gonna work a little bit faster with this. And I think, and I'm just pouncing. grab that green. Oh, there we go. That one went real fast. Okay, let's see how that purple does. I think I'm going to, because, well, let's do both. We'll do one with water, one without. We'll do a small one and a little one. I'm making a nice big mess around here. Just how I like it. Okay. Clean off that brush a little bit. Okay. We'll go in the smaller one first. Oh, what I was gonna say, if you don't want to waste any of the powder, like I have a whole bunch that's like falling off on here, I would go color by color working on things. And like what you would with glitter, take the excess, have it on like a piece of paper or something, and then put it back into your container if you wanted to. Okay, yeah, I like this better with the water being sprayed on it. This is lovely. How much fun is that? Okay, but now what I'm gonna do, I wanna do a two-toned kind of coloring. I'm gonna take my fluffier brush and I'm going to just go around dabbing the edges. This, you could do then take like a water or a paintbrush or another brush that just has water on it and put the water where exactly you want for that powder to pick up from. Ugh, that was fun. That was fun. So again, the purple, we're gonna, I think what we'll do, let's do the center a little bit. And it doesn't seem to like activate the powder in terms of like when I spray the water, if there's leftover like drips, the powder isn't like running down the flower, if that makes sense. Kind of sticks to where it is. Okay, here we go. Much better. I like that a lot better. So that's where we're at. So I think for this round, I definitely like having the water on there versus, well, this is still insanely pretty to me. I really, really like that. So if you want a very subtle, kind of buildable, you don't need any water. If you want it to be a little bit more opaque and a little bit more focused in certain spots, having a little spray bottle, super helpful. Now, the one other thing I want to show you with the Holi Powder is that you can take the Holi Powder, and put it on top of another flower that has already been dyed with, say, paint. So let's do that real quick. Even though this isn't, you know what, I think we're gonna do the green. We're gonna make this look a little bit more. We'll see. I might have regretted that. Let's see. Let's see. But it basically, it doesn't, it's, it like coats the top of the paint, but it doesn't like seep into the paint, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not. It just kind of adds to it. It blends really well with that. Okay, so now that green went a little bit higher than what I'd like. So now what I'm gonna do is spray it again, just a little bit of water, and the outer petals, I've got all this leftover like excess over here with all the different colors. We're just gonna use it as is and see what pretty color comes out of it, which is a kind of a purpley color. This is fun. So looking a little sludgy in the green. That's okay. That's okay. I'll play with it some more. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? Let me just all out. We'll just see what happens when we put some actual water or paint on it. Let's see what happens. Well, hot damn. That's kind of fun. That's very fun. All right, I see you. I see you. So it kept some of that green, some of it came up, and then it diluted a little bit of that pink. And since we're already in play mode, and this is already wet, let's get those tips of the flower even more saturated with the powder. Oh my God. Hold on, I don't know if you can see this yet. Let me bring it up to the camera in just a second, because this is amazing and so much fun. Oh, this is my favorite part of this. Just playing to play to see what happens. Look at that. Holy cow. It almost gives me like a straw flower vibe. Oh, I think I'm in love. I think I'm in love. That was so much fun. Okay, let's quick show you how to stem up one of these. To stem a flower that has a little bit more of a flatter, a full flat base or slightly flat base, you're going to grab your floral wire. I like to use 18 gauge, but it's really a personal preference. And you're just going to, with needle nose pliers is probably the easiest way, you're just going to give it a little hook. And this is going to really depend on the size of the back of the flower. Because sometimes what I do, if there's something sticking in there, I actually hook it, kind of hook it around. This one doesn't really have anything to hook onto, but it's wide enough now. I've got a decent space. So I'm gonna grab some hot glue. I'm going to put a dab of that in the center of my flower. And we're just gonna let it sit there for a second. Once it's fully dry, then you can adjust the wire however you'd like so that you can then stem up or have the flower sit the way you want. So right now it's sitting like this, but if you were putting it in an arrangement, you're gonna be able to see that. If you wanted it to sit a little bit more flat, you can adjust this wire. I'll do that in a second. I wanna wait till this fully dries and I'll show you what I'm talking about. That's what I'm kind of talking about. So when I put it in there, then that's the way I want. If you also wanted to hide the back of that, you could also put like a leaf or something else on there as well if you want. It's really up to you. It really depends on what you're using the flower for. Also, if you don't need a wire, these are the best ones to be able to flat flush glue. Shoot, I wish there was another, we'd have like an alliteration? Not illiterate. Never mind. Why do I ever try to use big words? It never works for me. Words are hard. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I had a ton of fun playing with the Holi Powder. I'm insanely inspired, especially with this flower. Also, let's talk about my hands real quick. The Holi Powder washes off with soap and water. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, so have no fear. But if you wanna cover your cute little fingers, you can always do that as well. Okay, let's go look at all of these flowers and how they turned out, because I'm staring at them right here, and this bouquet is going to be insane when we're all done. And there you guys go, Papaver and Gerbera. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I had a ton of fun playing around with the Holi Powder and with the dye that had been settled, and just to see what happens. We're having a ton of fun around here. Again, the end project will be coming in a couple of more weeks. We're gonna be dyeing a few more different style flowers, featuring those and talking about all the cool things that you can do with them. This is gonna be a fun one. This is going to be a very loud and bright arrangement. I'm actually thinking we might even turn it into a wedding series, possibly with a bridal bouquet, bridesmaid, boutonniere, corsage. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Does that sound like something that could be fun? I'm worried it's going to turn out to be too circusy, but we'll see. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. To be continued, to be decided later on. If you're loving this channel, can't get enough, want to know the next time we post a video, which is typically once a week as long as I'm happy and healthy. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, subscribe and ring that bell. Golly, I'm so rusty lately and I feel like I say that all the time. Also, I have something for you for listening to all my rambling. Oh, there's a hummingbird outside. Use the code YouTube30 to get 30% off your first. The hummingbird threw me off. Oh, I'm so excited. They haven't been in my yard until right now. Maybe we'll take you guys through a little walk of my chaos gardens. Anywho's, sorry, back to the stuff that we're talking about here in the studio. Use that code YouTube30 to get 30% off one regular priced order. That's what I meant to say. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna go play in the gardens. Next week's video, I'll take you on a little tour of the chaos gardens that keep distracting me with the hummingbirds at this absolute moment. All right, you guys, have a lovely, lovely day. I'll see you super soon. I'm Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely. I can't even, oh my gosh. I'm Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely, and you, my friends, are absolutely lovely. Bye, guys. Here is the chaos garden in question. Fortunately, the hummingbird has flown off, I think. He's playing around the hollyhocks. Oh, I'm so excited. The crow is saying hi to me though.